Yes, hello everyone. Welcome back to the 14th Canon, and I am super excited for this one because today I'm having a chat with absolute tactical mastermind. James is joining me. Let's introduce him now. James, thank you very much for coming on. I appreciate it, taking the time out of your schedule, obviously. But yeah, first of all, how are you doing?
Mate, firstly, thank you so much. I'm not sure I'm a tactical mastermind, but thank you. I appreciate that a lot. But
I'm convinced that
I'm all
I'm
good.
convinced you
Yeah,
have
it's a
links
pleasure
to
to be
Carlo
in.
Angelotti.
What's that? Sorry?
I'm convinced you have links to Carlo Angelotti, but
I
there
wish I
you
did.
go.
I think my mum met him once. Yeah, I think my mum met because Italian. I think she met him when she was like 12. That's about as linked as I am to Carlo Ancelotti. I also need to double check that story. That might be one that the
There you
HMRC
go.
podcast gets me for. But yeah, yeah. I don't know. Who knows? I'll find out. But thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it. And I wish it was off the back of like a win, and Arsenal being in their better form. But it's okay. We're still doing all right.
Yeah, so nicely leading on, I suppose, to what we're going to talk about. I want to talk about the last three games in general, not necessarily the Aston Villa one. Obviously, we have struggled a bit defensively with injuries, lots of heavy rotation. You're seeing Timber play at centre back when naturally he's probably more of a right back. Definitely played there more for Arsenal. So yeah, I just want to get your view, your overview of the last three games in general, what you've thought about the team defensively and stuff like that. So yeah, take it away, man.
Yeah, it's a great question. So stretching back to the last three games, what does that include? Chelsea, Brentford, and Villa. I think it's a
Yeah,
good thing we've got a clean sheet against Brentford. I think we need to get back amongst the clean sheets. There's only so much you can say defensively when you're missing Saliba, Gabriel, and then Mosquera, who has been kind of the first to be called upon in the absence of those two. It's interesting he even started left centre back in the absence of Gabriel against Bayern Munich. Kind of tells you that Arteta's got a lot of trust in that guy. It's a tricky one, you know. I agree. Jamie Carragher said on Monday Night Football, I agree that we are defensively the best team in the world. And actually, he didn't say in the world, he said in the league, but I think in the world we are. And I think in the league, we are by some distance the best team. Even City against Sunderland, there were a few opportunities where he thought Sunderland could have nicked a goal. And I think at our best, we have more control of that kind of game. Brentford's a good example of that. But when you come up against really good sides, Chelsea in their pomp, in their best form of the season, Villa in their best form of the season. You know, we faced Villa when they just turned around a 2-0 deficit against Brighton to win that game 4-3. We faced Chelsea when they just destroyed Barcelona 3-0. You know, we have faced teams in their best run, and that's fine. That's, you know, we want to be the best, so you've got to beat the best. But you also want to do it with your best available to play
yeah,
and to give their all. And without Saliba and Gabriel, you don't just lose your two best defenders and therefore your best platform for your defense. You also lose your platform to go and play your football and to gain control and to just calm things down. So they were massive misses. But I don't worry about us defensively. I don't really worry about the team at all. I just want our players fit and back and available, and I know we'll be fine. But we just haven't seen that for a little while.
yeah, 100%. I mean, if you look at the defensive line that we played against Aston Villa, for example, if you really look at that back line, Hincapié was playing, Calafiori, who else was it? Ben White and Timber. I look at those four as four natural fullbacks. I do think Hincapié, obviously it's a loan at the moment, but he will sign permanently, I'm convinced. Um,
Yeah.
I do see his future more as a left back. Obviously Timber, as I said, right back. So if you really look at it, it's really Gabriel and Saliba and Mosquera as well as your sort of main centre back partnership group who are, you know, definitely centre backs. And then you look at other players, obviously versatility helps, but they're all sort of, I think they've got the characteristics of playing fullback as well. Hincapié with his aggression as well. Obviously, Hincapié, Calafiori, where does that leave Lewis Skelly? Midfield, I think. I think it's eventually over time he'll probably move there. But it does move me on nicely to, it is December at the moment, very festive. I'm wearing the Christmas jumper.
Yeah, I like it. It's
That
a good
does,
jumper.
yes, that does mean that January is right around the corner. now. So for you, is there any sort of priorities where you look at position wise that you go, yeah, we could probably use with a bit more depth there, or yeah, take it away? Do you think like
Well,
injuries or something?
it's a great question. And if you'd asked me a few weeks ago, genuinely just a few weeks ago, I'd have said no. I want no ins, I want
Yeah,
no outs. Keep it as it has been. The squad's in a good position. We don't need to disrupt it. We've got the answers we need in the squad. I feel differently now. And I feel
yeah,
differently because of two things. A, the exhaustion of the midfield engine room, the Rices, the Zubimendis. They need help desperately. I don't think it's a coincidence that we've been linked massively to, I think it's Mendoza, the Elche midfielder, and we've been linked to Buadi, the Lille midfielder. They're 18 and 20. You know,
mm,
that tells you that Arsenal might be looking for a younger profile who can come in, just be a part of the squad, but maybe isn't expecting to play week in, week out. I just think we need that kind of player. I think that's quite important because at the moment, Marino's doing upfront shifts, but there's clearly something about him in midfield that doesn't quite click at the moment. And Christian Norgard, for whatever reason, has not been trusted enough. So I actually think we need another body in there. We may need another defender. Like, in all seriousness, if
yeah,
we continue Calafiori, we're actually lucky he stayed fit because of all our players, he's been the most injury prone. And let's not forget that Timber's had an ACL injury, which kept him out of 23-24. But he also had a what was it? He had like a minor surgery in the summer.
yeah. Was it
So
muscular,
maybe
possibly?
I think maybe ankle. I don't know.
Yeah,
And they're two of the ever presents. That's the worrying thing. They're two of the players who have been the most present in the team. So then you add to the fact that I don't think Martinelli's in great form. Gabriel Jesus may want to move because of the World Cup. And there's a chance that Ethan Waneri might want to go on loan. So what became a don't do anything this January, just keep it the same, like let's keep it moving, might become a needs must window where suddenly if you can pick up a 10 to 20 million pound defender, you probably should do it. Some were even saying offer Tomiyasu a contract to come back and play for a little bit, but I think he's signing for Ajax. I read today.
it looks like it. Yeah,
Yeah. Then a younger central midfielder who can grow into that role. We can sell Norgard off in the summer, and then maybe a forward if something happens with Waneri, Martinelli, or Jesus. Honestly, I actually don't think we'll do anything. I think at best we might do a young midfielder, but I don't think we will actually do anything in January. But I can't believe that I've just listed 3 potential areas of the pitch that we may need to address with the ridiculous depth of squad we've got. Let's see. It tends to be that people in the second half of the season not only get fit, but stay fit. And the reason is the World Cup's coming. And you end up having players, essentially, it can go one of two ways. Sometimes they don't want to play because they want to protect themselves to make sure they're okay for the World Cup. But I actually think we've got a lot of players that are playing for positions, that are playing for rhythm. So someone like Erdegaard, for example, he's not going to not play for Arsenal because he actually barely played this year. And last season, he wasn't in great form, had an injury as well. So I think we've got players like that are going to want to play and get themselves out on the pitch to try and earn their places, like William Saliba, to make sure that he's a regular starter in that French team. So, yeah, I do think we're going to have better fitness luck in the second half of the season, but it wouldn't surprise me if we dipped into the window.
yeah. I mean, I hope so as well. We all thought in the summer, the window was, it was looking great.
Yeah.
We brought in the midfielders that we needed, but for whatever reason, obviously Norgard's not playing. At the time of recording, we do play Club Brugge
Yeah.
tomorrow. I believe
Yeah.
it's tomorrow, so hopefully he gets some minutes then. It'd be great to see him, and especially given, as you say, the midfield that seems to be playing week in week out at the moment. It would be great to see them, just have a game off because they need it. And I mean, we've got Wolves on the weekend as well. It's not like they've been particularly great, so
No, they haven't. You never know.
it's
Football,
another
isn't it?
opportunity, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, midfield, I think would probably be the priority because you've got Norgard there, but if he's not playing, that does leave Zubimendi and Rice with who else behind him if Marino's going to stay up front.
Well, it's
For him.
interesting. So, sorry to cut you, Tom, but I
That's
actually
all right.
think he will move I think Marino will play more in midfield now. Havertz and Jesus are back.
Yeah,
Sorry, no, Gyökeres and Jesus are back. I think Norgard will start to get more minutes because I think Arteta will basically be forced to, or we have a more ideal run. Like I think Norgard will start against Bruges. I think he might start the Wolves game. I wouldn't be surprised if he started both games and we just protected Zubimendi for Everton and gave him like a 2-week break. I'd have no problem with that whatsoever. So I think we'll start to see minutes for those other players. Interestingly, though, when Havertz returns, that's another player that could play in central midfield. And I know I don't want that. I think we saw it in the first half of 23-24. It didn't really work. But I do think Arteta might see that as another option. And also, Waneri hasn't been used that much. So he might think, look, I can play Waneri and Erdegaard in front of Rice, or Waneri and Eze in front of Declan Rice, or in front of a Norgard. Like, I think he'll think he can do that with those players. So that will be interesting to see. I think Arteta and Arsenal will ultimately conclude that they've got enough options. It wouldn't surprise me if they saw an opportunity like a Mendoza that they go and do it. But I wanted to ask you, like, if we had to sign for one position, what position would you go for?
for me, I think I'd go for central midfield.
Yeah, I think I
I
agree.
I do think that is the priority at the moment because let's just say a miracle happens mid-January, everyone's fit. Never going to happen, by the way. But let's just say that miracle occurred. You've got the defensive depth that I think is good enough. Mosquera's come in, shown his quality. Hincapié, I still think looks a little bit raw, but eventually over time, he's still young. Let's not forget that.
Yeah.
He's still young and he's got so much experience with him. And I do think eventually performances will improve. So I'm not too worried about that. But for me, as I said earlier, I do still feel as if there is one extra slot in midfield that needs to be filled. Um, I'm going to butcher the names, so I'm not even going to try them. But as you mentioned, the two young lads earlier, 18, 19, that sort of profile would do just fine. I still... Jorginho would have been great in a situation like this. And it's not just, the performances that he put in, because I actually thought he was quite a consistent performer. Similar to...
I agree. I liked him. I totally
yeah,
agree with you.
I thought he was great. I thought he was a consistent performer, and it's just something that I think we will potentially miss going down the season. But it's also what he brought off the pitch, not only his character, but I do think once he's finished playing football, he will look to go into coaching and stuff like that. And it's the little things like that. Obviously, Arteta wants to be this animated character, but he's not allowed down the touchline. So we'll just send Jorginho up there.
Yeah, I
So,
really like that. We did it at Man City, didn't we?
yeah, we did
Yeah,
it a
that was
few
savage.
times. We did that a few times. But a character like that with experience, but just any sort of midfielder, cheap midfielder, because I know you mentioned earlier you don't see us doing it, but do you think that's kind of got sort of that psychological factor of Edu didn't really go out in January and do stuff,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
obviously Bert has come in and absolute boss man in the summer. So do you think that's kind of a factor? Can I convince you with Berta being that guy?
Yeah, you can. You absolutely can, because Berta strikes me as someone, I don't know if this is necessarily a good thing, by the way. He strikes me as someone who loves to buy players. Like, it's not even
Yeah,
just it's his job to do it. I think he loves signing players. I think he loves, that regular,
yeah,
what's the word? Balancing lots of deals, looking for the right price, working with Arteta to bring him. Like, I think he loves squad building. I think he loves being really hands on. I think he's well connected, well respected in the space. I think he loves his reputation being at a certain level. Now, in the summer, his first summer, he blew us all away, didn't he? I mean, Arsenal went and brought in 8 signings. It's the best summer and the biggest summer I've ever seen from Arsenal by a country mile.
yeah,
And, he really made a statement. He made such a statement that what we're used to basically allows us to go, we've done so well. I even don't mind if you don't do anything in January because I get it. But he's always raised the bar. So it wouldn't surprise me if he went, no, we don't stop. Like, January is a chance to add players, and we're going to add someone, maybe even 2. Now, look, Arsenal did, when they thought they could win the title in 22-23, go and sign Kivior, Trossard, and Jorginho. Now, when we did those 3 signings, I was surprised. We went and added backup centre back, a defensive midfielder, and a forward. That actually aged as a very good window from Arsenal. All 3 of them, 100%. One of them was signed for 20 million, 13 million, 27 million, right? It wasn't massive outlays. And they all absolutely well and truly played their part for Arsenal in some way, shape, or form. They were all good signings. Whether, they ultimately got us over the line or not is a different question. But they weren't meant to be that. They were meant to be squad depth and options. And I think we'd be looking at a similar window. I think we'd be looking at a similar thing like that. Can we essentially find 1 or 2 players that are just going to keep things ticking and help us keep moving? Now, we'll see. We will see if that's something Berta wants to do. But you absolutely can convince me that Andrea Berta might be the guy who wants to go and surprise us all and go and buy more players. Will he? You can't just spend money for the sake of it. There's got to be room in the squad. There's got to be the green flag from Arteta and the green light from Arteta and the green light from the Kroenkes. I'm not sure he's going to get that. What I think he'll do is line up some potential deals, and he might even get something signed in January for the summer. But I just don't know if we're going to get anything particularly meaningful in January.
Yeah. Well, fair enough. We've all seen the history. Was it Edu? Was it the Kroenkes? I guess we'll find out this window.
Find out.
But my final sort of debate that I wanted to have, I'm just going to throw the question out there. Who is Arsenal's best striker at the moment?
Who do you think? Let me ask you first. Then I'll steal your answer. Who do you think?
He's played the Uno reverse card. Let me think. Oh, well, if you look at the record, then you probably say number 9 striker, you want goals, Gyökeres. However, if you look at the profile that Arteta wants up front, it's not necessarily the Erling Haaland, the Kylian Mbappe get in the box and score goals. It's much more. What would be a good comparison here? What would be a good comparison here? Part of me wants to say Firmino at Liverpool.
Yeah, but the Firmino had more. Like, I think you've said Jesus. I think that'd be more comparable.
Yeah,
but I think I assume you're alluding to Kai Havertz, right?
Yeah, sort of that profile.
Well, someone who's similar to Kai Havertz. So when I've listened to other managers, Tuchel has compared him to Bergkamp and Berbatov and players like that. I don't see that. I think those two had. I mean, there's for me, there's a big jump from Havertz to Berbatov, and then there's another big jump to Bergkamp. But what both of them had was like immense skill. Kai Havertz, I think, is a technically secure player. He's got a neat touch. He's got a neat weight of pass. He's got a little bit of skill here and there, but he's actually not. He's not a flary player whatsoever. So I would say a better. Oh, this is really tricky. I'm trying to think of someone. He's like. Do you know what? I can't.
He's a unique player, isn't he?
I honestly can't think of anyone. Now, some people have likened him to Van Persie, but for me, Van Persie had like a low center of gravity, loads of skill, like could roll a defender, hit it right foot, left foot, cold finisher. Like, I think I think what they've got in similarities is a little bit of a more languid style. Probably a bit taller and better in the air than you'd expect them both to be. And they're both left-footed. But that's about it. I mean, I've seen Havertz score some Van Persie-esque goals, but he's not. He's not that. I don't know. I don't know anyone like Kai Havertz. It's such a unique. He's not. I wouldn't say he's Giroud. I wouldn't say he's. But to your point, right? And let me actually answer your question now. Sorry. Who is the better? Who's our best striker? I always say, let's live in a fantasy land for a second. Jesus, Havertz, and Gyökeres, all at their very best. Like the best level we've seen from all of them, as I knock my mic, the best level we've seen from all 3 of them, who is the best player? For me, it's Gabriel Jesus.
Yeah.
Jesus in August to November of 2022 was the best striker I've seen at the club since Van Persie. Now, I know Aubameyang scored more goals, but in terms of everything, the dribbling, the assists, the goals, the types of goals, the connecting of play, like everything he did, I just thought he was mesmerizing to watch. But I said, let's imagine it in a fantasy land for a second. Okay, now let's go back to real life. In real life, he's not that anymore. And that's really sad. But he's had a major ACL injury that we still haven't seen him on the pitch back from. And then he obviously had the big knee injury in the World Cup. So he's not the same player. Now, could he get near that level? Maybe. But I just don't think we ever see that version of Jesus again. So then you're kind of left with Kai Havertz and Gyökeres. Well, I don't think Kai Havertz will ever in his career put up the numbers that Gyökeres put up. I think even if he went to Portuguese football, Havertz wouldn't put the numbers in that Gyökeres put in. I genuinely don't believe that. I don't think he would. I think he'd get great numbers. I don't think he'd get Gyökeres numbers. But Havertz, you're right. He does drop into midfield. He does understand tactically the press and how to link up with everyone around him a little bit better than Gyökeres supposedly does. But for me, he lacks conviction, Havertz. He lacks just an authority in that position. Gyökeres might get things wrong, but he backs himself. He kind of like gets it wrong, but almost like, yeah, cool, I don't care, I'll go again. And I like that about him too. Some might even say it's Marino, but I don't think Marino's our best striker, personally. So to answer all of that, Gyökeres. And the reason I say Gyökeres is the guy is because when I watch Ødegaard and Eze and Trossard and Saka, when I watch all those players floating around him, Madueke too, I see them enjoying their football more with Gyökeres up front. I think he makes the kind of runs that they want to pass in, that they want to pass to. I think he makes the kind of space that they want to invade behind him. I think he is someone who plays as an out-and-out forward, and that brings a degree of creativity and invigoration, if that's a word, I don't think it is, to our attack that we don't have when it's basically Marino or Havertz or the more recent version of Jesus. So sorry for what was probably a 10-minute answer, but all that to say, Gyökeres, what's your take on that?
I do find it interesting because obviously Gyökeres, he's also got that physical presence that I don't think the others do. You could argue Marino, but in terms of that physical presence that defenders, they don't want to let go of him.
Yeah,
and that, as you say, the wingers will enjoy their football more because if defenders are worried about Gyökeres, then the other players are going to have to worry about these wingers. And where do these players come from if teams want to properly build up on us? And yeah, I do see where you're coming from. And yeah, it is a very difficult question because as you've mentioned, as I've mentioned, for, as you say, about a 10-minute answer, all of them have their own different characteristics.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
It's I do think it is difficult to really nail down one answer there.
Who do you think Arteta will play?
When everyone's back. So when Havertz is back as well. Well, I'm hearing reports about Kai Havertz potentially coming back in, but to be honest, I'm going to give the boring answer. Just play one of them and stick with them.
Yeah.
I think that's the best solution here, because if you play Havertz, people will say, you know, there's going to be a new narrative of you've brought in a brand new £60 million striker to sit on the bench, but Havertz was the same. So it's one way or the other.
Yeah. Good point.
So yeah, if he plays with Havertz, fine by me, you know, but just stick with him. If he plays Gyökeres, fine by me, but stick with him, because if you're rotating, it's not going to help Gyökeres adapt. It's not going to help Havertz find form. So yeah, I think if you play one of them, just stick with them. Don't really mind who, but if you want goals from Gyökeres, then yeah, stick with him, and eventually I do think he'll find them. But
by the way, I agree with you. I think that's a brilliant analysis of the situation. You've got to pick one, and either you're so right. Like, one of them is going to be a £65 million player on the bench. Okay, well, welcome to competing with Man City and Liverpool. Like, that's how it goes. So, but you've got to pick someone. You've got to stick with them, not just for them, for the rest of the team. Because if Ødegaard's playing with Havertz, he's building a very different partnership with him to the one he's building with Gyökeres. Now, I read that same report. I think it was by Isan Khan, and basically they were saying in the Daily Mail that look, he sees Gyökeres as someone who's great for breaking mid blocks and getting in behind teams. He sees Havertz as someone he loves and will find in the team no matter what. Jesus will play a part, even maybe out wide, and Marino could even play some games up front. Okay, great. Who benefits from that? Who benefits from that? Arteta's got so much right this season, but he's got to pick his guy. I agree with you.
Yeah, well, James, as I said at the start, thank you very much for coming on. I do
Mate, thank you.
appreciate
It's
it.
been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, hopefully I will see you again soon, guys.
100%.
I'm sure you already subscribed, but if you're not, give me a subscribe, obviously. But James's channels will be in the description. James, shout
Thank you, mate.
yourself out before we end.
No, that's very kind. Thank you. Yeah, I'm on the Gooniverse and Gooniverse News, my second channel where I react to news a bit more instantly.
Yeah.
Analysis on the main channel. But thank you guys. Thank you guys for watching, and thank you, Tom, for having me. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you very much for coming on, as I've said. And yeah, guys, on the channel, a video this weekend. We got Wolves. We'll see you on probably Sunday for the proper sit down and review. But yes, thank you all very much for watching, and I will catch you then. Come on, you got it.